The better news, if you remember, look at your course calendar. We do not have class on Thursday.
All right.
Because I'm going to be in Houston for a conference. So we do not have class on Thursday. Now, I'm going to give you two quizzes to do on Thursday as part of your attendance for class that day. But it's basically like quizzes that's going to go over what we talk about today. So it's just going to reinforce what we talk about today. Okay. Um, and today what we're talking about is our project. Okay, I'm going to introduce our semester project. This is an assignment that is going to take some time to work on. Okay, and so that's why I want to introduce it early. You have plenty of time. Now, I have full disclosure, I had a student last semester. She was really anxious to get it done, and she finished it in about 2.5 weeks. And she was done for the rest of the semester as far as the project was concerned. Okay, so there is the possibility that you turn in your project early, and that's okay. We'll talk about what that looks like as we get a little bit closer to it. I did move our semester project module. I moved it closer to the top, so that way you don't have to scroll so far down to locate it. All the information that you need to do your project is in this module titled.
Location for students. Sorry.
I was like, is that my YouTube? Everything that you need for the project is in this module for the semester project, okay? Let's talk about what the project is overall. Essentially, we're going to determine what our selling price is, okay? We're going to use the food cost percentage method and the markup method in order to determine what we're going to sell our menu for, okay? Now, this project was created back in 2020. So back in 2020, it's hard to believe it's been 5 years ago at this point. But back in 2020, we served lunch for $9 and we served dinner for $12. Okay. So now that was when we were in the old building across campus. Anybody ever been to the old building across campus? Oh, you guys don't know how good you have it. In our old
I had
building,
it. I had class in there.
I
okay,
have
awesome.
to.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys know what awesome
Yeah.
building we have.
Yeah.
Yes.
The old building was one floor. It was on the second floor where the cybersecurity building is now. On the second floor, that second floor was all of our building, all of our departments. We had 3 labs, 3 classrooms, and 1 restaurant, 1 dining room for a restaurant. So coming over here is a huge improvement, but with improvements also comes increase in pricing. So now our lunches are $15 and our dinners are $18.98. Okay, so I probably should update this, but here we go. So we're going to use the concepts that we learned in chapter 4 last week about how we cost out and how we assign and determine what we're going to sell our menu for. Okay, now because we're a school and we're not a business, it allows us to be able to sell lunch for $15. Probably wouldn't get away with selling lunch for $15 because we don't have any overhead as far as our rent. We don't have any labor. You guys pay to take the class. So we don't have any labor expenses. So that's why we're able to keep our selling price relatively low. So you'll see as we take into this concept of what is our food cost as a percentage of what we sell it for, what is the total amount? You're going to see a little bit different in the pricing. Okay, so we are going to first cost out all the recipes in a 4-course menu. Okay,
So I'm trying to find that document right quick. So
that's the very first one in the semester project.
analyze menu homework. Okay.
Okay, and then from there, we're going to apply the food cost of 30%. And then we're going to apply the food cost based on the different categories like we saw in chapter 4. Different categories have a different food price. And we're going to compare those two prices. Which one yields a higher selling price? Okay. You're going to answer these 5 questions, and that's going to be your project. Okay. As we get closer to the project, to the end, we'll go over more on this. Oh, your project is not due on December 7th. Sorry. Your project is going to be due on, what's this, Tuesday? Yeah, May 6th. Okay. So we have 11 weeks for your project. I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, I have still all this time in the world. I can put this off. Okay. When I used to do this project, I used to just be like, work on the recipes on your own pace. And then I realized that a lot of my students are exactly like me, and they wait to the very last minute to try to cram and get all that work done. So I have since adapted my approach, and I now have due dates along the way for the recipes to help you kind of keep structured. You can always work ahead, but I would always encourage you to keep that same, all the due dates in as we go. Okay. Now, this being said, so next week we'll jump back into the textbook. Once we finish with chapter 10, which is once the last chapter of the textbook, once we finish with chapter 10, the rest of the semester is going to be independent time to work on your project. Okay. So you'll have the opportunity to come in and we can work on the project here, or you can jump on Zoom and we can work on the project during your class time. Okay. But the expectation is that you're working on the project. It's not just taking time off. Okay. You still have those due dates for those those recipes. Any questions so far? All right. So in the module, we're going to find our menu set. This menu set too, some of these recipes may look familiar. So this is an old menu set from Chef 1300 class when we used to serve it always as a 4-course meal. Now Chef 1300 is a 3-course meal with options for soups and salads. But this is an old one where everyone ate the same thing, all 4 courses, okay? So everything that's highlighted is going to have its own recipe. There might be some combined, but that's okay. You'll see it in the title of the quiz, okay? There's 10 recipes that you're going to be costing out. So 10 recipes, 11 weeks, average of 1 recipe a week, okay? Questions, comments, concerns so far? All right. Let's take a look at what other information is in the module. Those of you who are online, if you want to download the AP to recipe volume weight page and the RSTO worksheet, that's what everybody here in class has a physical copy of, okay? This worksheet, this is how you are going to cost out all of your recipes. So each one of your recipes is going to have its own page, cover page and the food cost, okay? And in class today, we are going to do 1 recipe together. So I can show you how to use this form and how to fill it all out, okay? So your final project needs to be typed. It cannot be handwritten. It needs to be typed, okay? If you want to print these out and handwrite them as you're going and then go back and type them again, that's totally fine, okay? But your end product, the finished product needs to be typed. The next thing is our Chef Tech inventory list. So I think I've already introduced this a little bit in a previous class. But our Chef Tech inventory list is where you're going to find the majority of your ingredients. Okay. How do I search through this document very quickly? Anybody remember?
Control F.
Control F. When I hit Control F, this box appears in the top right corner. And then I can search for anything, lettuce. And it highlights all the time that lettuce appears on this document, okay? You do have to be connected to the internet to use this this feature, okay? But if you don't want to be connected to the internet, you can download this document, this Excel document, okay? When we open this Excel document, you'll notice across the bottom, there are various tabs of different categories of ingredients, okay? So if I were to search for Control F is the same feature, okay? I open up a text box. Let's say I want to find milk. Tell me there's no milk on there, okay? The reason why there's no milk is because if you look, click on options, this says within the sheet. You need to change that to workbook. Workbook will find it on any tab that it is open, okay? That's on the workbook. If you have it within the sheet, it's only gonna look on the sheet that's open, tab that's open. So you gotta switch it to workbook. And then you can do this, you can download this and have this available when you're offline, okay? Any questions about how to use the Chef Tech inventory list? And like I said, we're gonna do an example together today, so we'll get some practice of utilizing this. All right, what's next in our volume to weight conversions? So for those of you who have the sheet, the AP to recipe, the QR code will take you to this volume to weight conversions website, okay? This volume to weight, remember, what is a volume measurement? When I ask for a volume measurement, what's an example of a volume measurement?
Water,
Well, water is a liquid.
8 ounces of water
Okay, so 8 ounces is how much in volume?
in volume, and like 1 cup.
1 cup, right? So when we're talking about volume, we're talking about cups. Oops, that's not a good color. Talking about cups, teaspoons, tablespoon, pint, gallon, quart. Okay. Whenever you see one of these types of measurements, your first question needs to be, is this a dry or a liquid ingredient? Why?
Because it changes the weight.
Because the weight is not always equal to the volume. So 1 cup of flour, it has a volume of 8 ounces, but it does not weigh 8 ounces. Okay. So if we buy flour by the weight, we buy a 50-pound bag of flour, and I need 4 cups, I have to convert those 4 cups into the weight of those 4 cups. Okay. And so this website is going to do that for you. It's a calculator that will calculate that for you. So let me show you how it works. So we're gonna put in our volume. Ray, how many cups of flour are we looking for?
4.
4 cups of flour. Anytime you update one of these, either the volume, the measurement, or the food type, it's always gonna kind of blink and reset itself, okay? So 4 cups of flour. Now, I need to select which food. Am I looking for arrowroot flour?
No.
No, I'm looking for flour, okay? And so what we want to do is click on that down arrow and we want to scroll down. Let's do wheat flour, white, all-purpose, enriched, unbleached. And then we hit calculate. Okay. You need to let me change something real quick. You need to always have the precision set to 2. And what that precision 2 means is it's going to give me 2 decimal places. Okay. It's going to give me 2 decimal places. You're gonna see in our example today why that's important, but always make sure your precision is set to 2. Once you do it, it should keep it that way whenever you go back to the website, okay? So now I come down here and I look right here. My 4 cups of flour weighs 17.64 ounces, or it weighs 1.1 pounds. Okay. And we're gonna be able to take the information that's on our recipe to tell us which one of those numbers we should use. Okay. So we're gonna practice this during our example together as a class. All right. I think the last one. Semester project notes. Okay. Because you are going to do a quiz on every single recipe, I want to ensure that you are using the same numbers that I'm using when I calculated my answers. Okay. So if there is an ingredient that is not in the Chef Tech inventory list, I have put it here in the notes. If there's a specific conversion that I used, I put it in the notes. Okay. So this is what I would recommend that you do when you sit down to work on your project. Okay. You're gonna have your blank recipe sheets, or you're gonna have your blank notebook paper. Right click. Opens up this little text box. I'm gonna open up my menu set in a tab. Right click on my Chef Tech inventory in a different tab. Right click my volume to weight in a different tab. And lastly, right click my semester project notes in a different tab. That way I can go easily from one document, one tab to the next in order to work on my project. Okay. Question that way I don't have to go back to the module back and forth. Okay. So if you right click in the module, right click on your mouse. Sometimes if you're using a laptop, it's a double finger click. It'll open up this little box and do open link in new tab. Okay. That's what I would recommend. If you call me and we're doing a Zoom session and we're doing tutoring, that's the first thing I'm going to do is open those 4 tabs. So that way I can go back and forth between them. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns so far? Anybody feeling a little nervous right now?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Good. That's exciting. Okay. So we are going to work on the rub recipe. Okay. Now, if you decide to work ahead and you want to make sure that you are getting ahead of the game, I would recommend that you go to the syllabus, okay, and look for menu set 2. That is a recipe that's part of your semester project, okay? And then you'll see menu set 2, menu set 2. So I would, if you want to jump ahead, I would work in this same order. So that way you make sure that you don't get behind on another recipe. That you don't work too far ahead and you miss a recipe that's due coming up. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns?
So we all do the same recipes.
Everyone's doing the same recipes, yes. Mhm. Yeah, I used to have the semester project where everybody got to create their own menu, their own 4-course menu. And then they would all do their own costing. And I'd turn it in the week before final exams. And then I had 60 projects to grade. And it was too much. So I had to standardize it so that I can help you work the process. If you are culinary or restaurant management majors, you will take this same type of project and you will apply it to Chef Costello's class or the RSTO 2405 class. That's your capstone class after you've taken international and garde manger. Your very last lab class for culinary and restaurant majors is that what we call shirt and tie class. Okay. So this is like an introduction project to that. Questions, comments, concerns? All right. So everyone should have a copy of the RSTO worksheet. And then also a copy of the AP to recipe. To wait. All right. So let's take a look first at the AP to recipe and the volume to weight conversion. I put this QR code here because some people like to use their cell phone for the calculator, the volume to weight calculator, and then have their stuff on the screen. So if you want to use your phone, you can use your calculator for your phone, the conversion website using the QR code. Okay. Does this, what's on the screen, does this look somewhat familiar? AP to recipe. Right? We've done AP to recipe like this before, where we do AP to recipe. Y'all remember that in previous classes when I was introducing this concept? The only difference is I've introduced this section right here, the cost of one recipe unit. Okay? The cost of one recipe unit. Because what we want to do, we're going to take how much we buy this for. Okay? We want to break it down to one recipe unit. And when I say recipe unit, we want to make sure the units match from the recipe. So if my recipe is ounces, then my cost of one recipe should be the cost of 1 ounce. If my recipe unit is pounds, then the orange column should be the cost of 1 pound. Because my goal is to take the one recipe unit, multiply how much I need for my recipe, and that gives me my total cost.
You said multiply how many units?
By whatever I need.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I buy my flour in pounds and I only need 4 ounces, well, I gotta get down to the cost of 1 ounce. So I can multiply by my 4 ounces that I need, and that will give me my ingredient cost. Okay, I may buy 50 pounds of flour for $30, but I want to know how much is those 4 ounces of those 50 pounds cost. And that's what we're trying to do here. Okay, so we got to break everything down to the cost of one recipe unit. So check this out. On our RSTO worksheet, on the back page, we have the recipe unit cost. That's that orange column. We have the as purchased to the recipe. And then we have our ingredient cost. So that AP to recipe is just like a visual representation of this chart right here. So let's do the rub together, okay? First thing on this kind of cover page, you want to make sure you put your name. Okay? The menu item is going to be the rub. Where do I get the number of portions from? From the recipe, okay? I'll give you a hint. For our project, it's all 32 servings. Okay? It's all 32 servings. Every recipe that we're gonna do for this project is gonna be 32 servings. Every recipe.
Do we write that on the?
Yes, Yeah, we are going through this step by step so that if you have any questions in the future, you can come back and watch this video and follow this example step by step for your future recipes.
So 32 goes into the number of portions.
Number of portions, yeah. Okay. I don't care about portion size. I don't care about cooking methods. I don't care about recipe source. Not for this project, okay? Not that it's not important, but this project, we're focusing on the math. Okay? The next, we want to fill out our ingredients. We want to fill out our recipe. Okay? So I'm going to open up our menu set 2.
So I'm trying to find where you see, because you have in here the rub. And so the menu set 2 is back under, sorry, Bobby, under assignments?
No, it's in the project, in the module.
Oh,
Okay?
got you.
So we have 8 tablespoons of chili powder. So go ahead and write this in on the front side, your front cover page, which is, this is, when I say cover page, I mean this one right here. This first page. Where it says, not the costing, the opposite one, okay? So we need chili powder. Put it up on the screen for you. We need 8 tablespoons of chili powder. 2 teaspoons of salt. 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. And 32 each chicken breasts. Okay,
So when we write the side versus item, we put like chili powder and all the
Yep.
opposite side, but
so we're gonna do chili powder. And we need 8 tablespoons. I'll zoom in so you guys can see a little bit better.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Okay, we need salt. 2 teaspoons. Garlic powder. 2 teaspoons. Chicken breasts. 32 each. Okay. So 4 ingredients. All right, so now the benefit of typing this is you can highlight, just highlight one row. Don't try to highlight multiple rows or columns, just one column. Control C is my copy. Come down here to ingredient and hit paste. Control V as in Victor. So now we want to copy our ingredient list onto the back page. So chili powder, salt, garlic powder, and chicken breasts. The next thing is our amount needed. So we come up here and we copy and paste this into the amount needed column. Okay, so we have basically, we're getting our work together. Kind of think about this as like your mise en place, okay? We're getting our stuff together so that we can start work on the project. The next thing, we want to get our as purchased information here. Where do I find my as purchased information? The Chef Tech inventory list, okay? So I go to my Chef Tech inventory list tab. And what's the first thing I'm looking for?
Chili powder.
Chili powder, okay? Now, The search function works best by looking at one word only. Okay, so don't try to put like a whole phrase or don't try to put like multiple words. Just look at one word only. Okay, so chili appears in this document 2 times. This is the first time we hit enter. It goes to this one. Is this anywhere we have chili powder?
No.
No. Okay. What error do you think I'm making? What mistake am I making right now?
Powder.
Okay, so maybe I'm misspelling chili. So let's type the word powder instead. That's a little bit easier to spell. Look at that, chili powder. Right here. Okay, so if you come in and you say, Mr. Uminski, there's no chili powder on this list. Okay. My first question is going to ask, did you check the semester project notes? Because here it's going to give you specific information. Okay. My second question is going to say, did you spell it correctly? I had a student one semester that learned during the project that raspberries has a P in it. They didn't know that. Okay. So if you learn something, then maybe that's what you're going to learn. But okay. So chili powder, $9.43 for 18 ounces. Okay. So let's go to the Word document. $9.43 for 18 ounces. I'm gonna work side by side. Okay. So chili powder, $9.43 for 18 ounces. What's next?
Salt.
Salt. Okay. That's not what I wanted. Okay, salt. We have salt, we have kosher salt, we have sea salt. Which salt do I use?
Regular salt.
Not regular one.
Kosher?
Sea salt.
Kosher?
I wish you used to kosher.
Just salt.
Regular salt.
It's salt or salt, right?
That's what the recipe says.
Okay. It just says salt. So what I would do is I would check what?
The inventory checklist.
I would check my semester project notes. Salt is 2 cents per ounce. Okay. So sometimes if there's multiple ingredients on the Chef Tech inventory list, I will tell you which ingredient that I used. And while we're here, let's look at the chicken breasts. It says to use the 6 ounce, 129 each from the Chef Tech inventory. So while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and do my 129 each. And the last one. Go back to our Chef Tech inventory. Powder. Here is our garlic powder. It's like, I know it's kind of small. I'll read it out to you. It's $4.93 for 1 pound. Okay. $4.93 for 1 pound. Questions, comments, concerns so far? Have we done any math? No. But now we are set to do our math. We have all the information we need. Now it's time to turn on the oven and start cooking. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns, or baking, I guess. Ovens bake. All right. So I have 4 ingredients here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looking at the information on your page or up on the screen, Nothing says that you have to start with the first ingredient and work your way down. I would start with the easiest ingredient. By a show of fingers, 1, 2, 3, or 4, which one would you start with on this recipe? Okay. Laura, why 4? Our units already match. So number 4 is where I would start.
Okay.
Because take a look. We have each and we have each. Okay. I have teaspoons and pounds, teaspoons and ounces, tablespoons and ounces. All that's going to require me to do a lot of work. So I'm going to look at which ones already, the units already match. Okay. And get that one done. Be done with it. So I do my AP to recipe. $1.29 each. And we need 32 each. Okay. Remember, what is our goal for this column right here? The cost of how many?
30.
Each portion, each size, each portion.
One recipe unit. Whatever the recipe unit is, I want one of them in this column, the cost of one. Okay. Now, bonus, I'm already at the cost of one. So all I have to do is combine those two columns, $1.29 per each. We're gonna see with the chili powder how it's gonna change up a little bit. But for the chicken breast, I just combine those two columns into one column. Okay? Because I've already got the cost of one each. And now I multiply $1.29 times 32 each.
41.28.
$41.28. Thank you. So let's show it to you down here. I'll fill out this completely. 129 each times 32 each is equal to $41.28. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns about that? All right, which one are we gonna do next?
The salt?
Okay, let's do salt. AP to recipe. My salt is 2 cents
Okay.
per ounce. And my amount needed is 2 teaspoons. Okay. Two teaspoons. Is salt a dry ingredient or liquid ingredient?
Right.
It's a dry, so we have to do what?
Change to,
We gotta use
ketchup.
we gotta use the website. Where's my website? Did I close it? Oh, here we go, the food calculator. Okay. I don't want to erase that because I want to keep that screen we have on the screen for a moment. Okay. To try to block out all the writing. But I've got 2. Remember, every time I change something, it's going to blink and reset. I'm going to change 2 cups to
Ounce.
teaspoons. Okay. My recipe amount is 2 teaspoons. I need to convert to how much does that salt weigh? So I'm going to type in the word salt. Okay. Does my 2 teaspoons of salt, does it equal 0.2 an ounce or 0.01 pounds? The answer is no. Why? Because I didn't change my ingredient. Right now it's set to almonds dry roasted without salt. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for salt. So I'm gonna come down here. It's alphabetized. So here we go, salt. Now, if it just says salt, what kind of salt is that?
Clean, iodized.
Iodized salt, okay? Table salt, iodized salt. I'm gonna go ahead and just use HEB salt since I recognize the brand, okay? But if you take a look, 0.42 or 0.03 pounds, okay? If we take a look, we change this to great value salt. Doesn't change, okay? It's just that's the brand, okay? So looking at this, 0.42 ounces or 0.03 pounds, which number should I use?
Ounce,
Why? Why ounces? That's my purchase amount, is in ounces right here. So why would I do pounds? I gotta do a lot of conversions. So let's just call it ounces. And this 2 teaspoons becomes 0.42 ounces. Okay? So what I would like you to do for this project is I want you to say 2 teaspoons equals 0.42 ounces. Okay? I want you to put the equal sign. I don't want you to replace 2 teaspoons with 0.42 ounces. I want to have both of those numbers in there. Why? Why would it be beneficial to have both 2 teaspoons and the equivalent of 0.42 ounces?
You see the difference, we compare their ingredients.
Yeah, so when you see those 2 things equal each other. I'm going to use the 0.42 ounces to figure out my cost, but do I want to use 0.42 when I'm making my recipe? Do I want to get out a scale and weigh out 0.42 of an ounce on a scale for my recipe, or do I want to measure 2 teaspoons of salt?
2 teaspoons.
Okay, so that way, if you keep it on there, we know we're going to multiply 0.42 by the cost. But when I'm making the recipe, this is how I'm going to, the measurements I'm going to use to make it, okay? Questions, comments, concerns about that? So now, remember, what is the goal for the orange column? Cost of 1 recipe unit. So what is my recipe unit?
I have a question.
Okay,
For the dry ingredients, we have to do that for the amount needed?
yes, because teaspoons and ounces do not match.
Yeah, okay, of
Get
course.
them to match.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, good question. So what is the cost of 1 ounce?
0.0084.
Nope, for 1 ounce. We're gonna combine these 2 again. It's kind of a trick question, I apologize. I didn't mean for that to be. We're gonna combine these 2 into 1. So it's 2 cents per ounce.
2 cents per ounce?
Yep. So that's my cost. My recipe unit cost is 2 cents per ounce.
Right.
Okay? So now that I have my recipe unit cost, I can multiply 2 cents times 0.42, and I will get my cost, which Ray says 0.008. Okay? So what does that translate to? What does that convert to in money?
A penny.
8 cents.
Exactly. Right? Because we're going to look at this third number here. And no matter what that third number is, if there's a third number, we're going to round up to the nearest penny. Okay? Always round up to the nearest penny. The only time we're never going to round is when we automatically have 2 decimal places. If it's exactly 2 decimal places like we had with the chicken was 41.28, there's no rounding because it's already dollars and cents. But if we ever have a third number, I don't care what all the numbers are behind the third number. If there's a third number that exists, no matter what that number is, we have to round up to the nearest penny, okay? So that's 1 penny. Questions about salt? All right, let's do garlic powder. And then we'll finish with the hard one of chili powder. Okay. So again, I'm going to start with my AP to recipe. AP to recipe. Okay. My garlic powder is $4.93 per pound. And I need 2 teaspoons. Now I just converted 2 teaspoons of salt. So can I say that 2 teaspoons of garlic powder weighs 0.42 of an ounce? No,
No.
they weigh differently. Is garlic powder a dry or a liquid ingredient?
Right.
Dry, which means we gotta go to the website. Okay. So I already have 2 teaspoons. I'm all set there. Let me type in garlic powder. Look at that. No options. It's the only one there, garlic powder. Okay. So I come down here. Now garlic powder is 0.23 of an ounce or 0.01 pounds. Which number should I use?
Ounces,
Why would I use ounces?
because it's a powder, it's dry, so you have to measure it that way, maybe?
Yes, and I think the reason why you may have said that, because I think a lot of your chef instructors tell you to go all the way down to the lowest measurement.
Exactly.
Yes, and I feel pounds you use it like more in European countries. Maybe.
European countries are going to be using grams more than likely, which are like the smallest. Which this will give you the volume in grams, 6.47 grams. Okay. Now, if you want to go all the way down to the ounce, you can. But what I'm going to tell you, just to keep things efficient, is what is my unit in my as purchased? It's pounds, right? So I'm going to use this pounds. That's less conversions that I have to do. So I'm going to say this 2 teaspoons equal to 0.01 pound. Okay. If you want to go down to ounces, you totally can. You're going to get the same answer, similar answer. Okay. But working efficiently, this will be a lot easier. So then I have 2 teaspoons is equal to 0.01 pound. And then our purchase amount is already in 1 pound. So again, we're just going to combine these two. Combine those 2 columns into 1. And then I can multiply 4.93 times 0.01 pounds.
$4.93.
Okay,
0.0493.
0.0493, which means we're going to round this up to 5 cents, 5 pennies. Okay, that 9, we're going to round this 4 up to a 5 and call it 5 cents. Okay. We got 3 down, 1 to go. Almost done.
Sir,
Yes,
when it comes to costing, we always go to the higher number, correct? We don't go lower?
correct. We always go up to the nearest penny.
Okay.
Yeah. Even if, that's a great question, Giselle. Even if this number was 0.040001, we would still round it up to 5 cents. Okay. The only time we never round is when it's automatically calculated at 2 decimal places. Okay.
Thank
And
you.
the reason why is because how much, well, this is garlic powder. I'm not sure how much garlic powder we're using, but if this was salt, how much salt are we using? All this money right here after all this money right here, that represents dollars and cents. The more we use it, the more it's gonna add up our costs. So if we don't include it by upgrading by 1 penny, then we're gonna end up losing money somewhere down the line in the long term. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns about that? All right, last one. AP to recipe. $9.43 for 18 ounces. And we need 8 tablespoons. Okay?
I think I found it on the website,
Yes, we are going to use the website.
but I have it. I think in ounces is 1.69.
Okay, sounds great. Let's double check
And then
that.
on pounds is 0.11.
Okay. So
I
US
think I
tablespoons.
think I put it correctly.
Oops. So 8 tablespoons of chili powder. I got 2.26 ounces and 0.14 pounds. Is that what you got, Maria?
It's because I put volume 18. I'm trying to see how do you work with the website, so I wanted to try it.
Okay, no, that's good. You're gonna get lots of practice. So we update our number to volume. It was 8.
Oh, 8. Okay.
Yep. And the US tablespoon, and then the ingredient. Okay. So of these two numbers, which one am I going to use?
Ounces.
Ounces.
Why?
Versus tablespoons.
It's already in our as purchased. We have ounces. So I want to use this ounces of 2.26. I want to work smarter, not harder. Okay. I want to use the information that I have to make myself not have to do more math than I have to do. Okay. So this 8 tablespoons. This one equals 2.26 ounces. So we come back to our Word document. 8 tablespoons is equal to 2.26 ounces. All right, what is my recipe unit cost? So my as purchase cost is $9.43 for 18 ounces. But remember, the column, we want to get out of the cost of 1. So what is our recipe unit?
Ounces.
Ounces, right? So we have ounces, we're good, right? Everyone see that so far?
Yes.
Cool. So ounces, check. Ounces, check. They match. Now, how do I get down to the cost of 1 ounce? I want to divide $9.43 divided by 18.
0.52.
So 0.523. So that equals what?
53 cents.
53 cents per ounce. Remember, we gotta round that up. I know that normal rounding rule says if it's below 5, we leave it alone, but that's not what we're talking about money. We're talking about money here. So this is gonna be 53 cents per ounce. Okay? So that goes right here. 53 cents per ounce. Now my units match. And now I can multiply. 53 cents times 2.26 ounces. And I get 1.197, which that rounds up to what? $1.20. Okay. So $1.20. We see how all that works. Let me write it out so you see it. 1.197. This is going to round up to $1.20. Oops. $1.20. That's there. Questions, comments, concerns? All right, we're almost done. On the home stretch. So now what do you think we're gonna do? To get our recipe cost? How much it costs to make the whole recipe? What are we gonna do?
Add it all together.
Add them all together. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. $41.28 plus. I'm gonna go 6 cents plus $1.20. Okay. Again, work smarter, not harder. So if you can easily combine some, I combined those into 6 pennies. So I did 120 plus 6 plus 41.28. And what do you get?
42.54.
42.54. Oscar, just make sure you watch the rest of this video, okay?
For sure.
$42.54. You guys see how that goes? That is gonna end up down here in your subtotal. That is your subtotal. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns so far? The last 3. Q factor. For this project, this Q factor is gonna be 5% of the subtotal. 5% of the subtotal. So we're gonna take their subtotal and multiply by 0.05. That is our Q factor. Right? And that gives us 2.13. Let me multiply this. $42.54 times 0.05. We get 2.127. So round up to $2.13. Okay. Next, our total recipe is subtotal plus the Q factor. So our subtotal plus our Q factor.
Five, 4, 7.
44.67. Okay, just simple math, just simple addition. And the last one, this is our last one, I promise. Portion cost, cost per serving. What does the word per represent? Cost per serving.
What?
I heard it just now.
Percentage, was it?
Divide.
Divide, okay.
Cost per serving. So what we're gonna do is portion cost is our total cost divided by a number of servings.
32.
In this case, it is 32. Okay. So I'm gonna take $44.67 and divide by 32. For this project, everything is 32 servings. When you are working on your own project later on with your own recipes, you'll need to make sure you're using the correct number of servings. And it comes to $1.39.5, which is $1.40. Okay. Questions, concerns, comments about those last 4 questions, those last 4 math problems? Okay. These last four are gonna be the same type of all the recipes. Subtotal, Q factor, total, and rest and portion cost. Okay, so. Let's show you what we do next. So in our project, I'm gonna find the rub recipe. Okay. Every recipe has its own quiz. You have 99 attempts on every quiz. So what does that mean? My expectation is 100 on every quiz. Okay. And I'm gonna show you how you can get 100 on every quiz. So we're gonna preview this quiz. Okay. Ooh. I'm gonna split my screen so I can see both. The cost of the chili powder, right here, $1.20. Now, Canvas is not gonna keep the zero at the end. It's okay. You click out of it, it's gonna drop that zero. Don't worry about it. Okay. You also do not need dollar signs. Please don't put dollar signs. This is numbers only.
Okay.
Okay. 0.01. 0.05. Now I'm gonna do real quick 50 cents just for a moment, just to demonstrate. And then $41.28. Okay. I come down here, my subtotal, 42.54. My Q factor, $2.13. Total recipe, 4.67. And last, my portion cost is $1.40. Okay. I submit my quiz. I think this is perfect. I got it. It's all right. I scroll down, look at my score. I got 7 out of 8. I missed one. Which one did I miss? I missed the garlic powder because I put 50 cents, right? So my first thing is I'm gonna look and double check. I put 50 cents instead of 5 cents. Okay. So now instead of doing the whole quiz all over again, I just want to check the cost of that garlic powder just to make sure I'm okay. So I don't want to do anything else except garlic powder. Okay. I'm going to hit submit. It's going to tell me, hey, you got some missing questions. I'm like, it's okay. I got 99 more attempts, 97 more attempts. I hit okay. I look at my grade. If it is a 1, that means the one question I answered is correct. If it's a 0, that means I still don't have it right. Okay. Now that I know that that 1 is correct, now I can go back one last time and answer everything, get a perfect 100. Okay. So this method is designed for you to make mistakes. Okay. Do the whole recipe all at once, and then identify which ones you got wrong and work on those one at a time and try it again. If you don't get it right, look at your work, go back and watch a video, try it again. If you don't get it right, jump on Zoom or come to class and say, Mr. Minsky, I can't get this one ingredient. Okay. Now I may help you with one ingredient on a recipe, but I'm not going to help you with 10 ingredients on a recipe. Okay. So the whole purpose is that you're going to take the mistakes that you learn from, oh yeah, I forgot. I put that 1 tablespoon is a half an ounce, but this is a dry ingredient. I have to go use the website. Making those mistakes, learn from your mistakes, and apply them on future ingredients. Okay. So now that we have done the rub recipe together, I will post this video online. Okay. I would recommend give yourself a day, turn your brain off. Okay. And then try the recipe again without your notes. Try doing the rub recipe without any of your notes. If you want to take an extra blank page in the back, I've got some extra ones. Take one with you. Try it again without your notes and see how you do. And then go back and watch the video and see what mistakes you made. Okay? So that you can learn from those mistakes. Your rub recipe originally was due on February 24th. I'm now gonna make it due next week. Okay? We've already done it, so you already have the answers, okay? But I want you to practice and try to get that done. Now, your next assignment for Thursday, remember, we are not having class on Thursday. So the quizzes that I want you to work on for Thursday is the project quizzes. There's two that kind of help you get into like the AP to recipe, into reading the Chef Tech inventory list, okay? So I want you to work on those project recipes, project prep 1 and 2. I'm gonna make those due on they're still due on Tuesday next week. But I want you to use class time on Thursday to work on those, okay? Since we're not gonna have class. The last thing, so it's this one and this one. Project prep quiz 1 and project prep quiz 2. Let's see. You have 2 attempts on project prep quiz 1, and you have, you know what?
So,
You're still learning, so let me change that.
so chapter 3, pre-class quiz, project.
That's already passed.
Right, okay, gotcha.
I'll give you 5 attempts.
The project 1, prep quiz 1. and
Project
2.
1, project prep 1, and project prep 2. I'll give you 5 attempts on each one of those.
Okay.
Just to give you some practice. You're still learning. I don't expect you to be perfect yet. Okay. Now, the last thing before I let you go. In the syllabus, this is mostly because I'm lazy and I don't want to do any extra work. I already have a lot of work to do. Because we are so early in the project, normally I give you a lot of time to prep. The next recipes are not due until March 24th, basically a month from now. Okay. But if you look, we have 1 due on March 24th. The very next week, you have 3 due. The very next week, you have 2. The very next week, you have 2. So if you do not want to cram your recipes, bless you. If you don't want to cram your recipes into 5 weeks after spring break, and you want to start working on your recipes now, I would recommend that you do that. Okay? I'm not going to change the due dates because that takes me a lot of time to figure out and then go back and change your calendar. But starting March 24th, your recipes are going to start coming due. If you want to work on them in this order, great. If let's say you do the raspberry sauce and you're like, oh my gosh, this is way too hard, let me go to the vegetables. Because vegetables are relatively easy. It's a lot of pounds and pounds, right? So it's a lot of olive oil, salt, pepper, a little bit easier ingredients. So you may want to skip over to that recipe. So you can try them. I don't care if you take 3 attempts or if you take 87 attempts. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is at the end that you've learned the process so that you are prepared to go in and cost out your recipes, not only in your next class, but in your career as a chef. Now, those of you who are not baking and pastry, culinary, or restaurant, any hoteliers in here, same thing applies. Just as we might have different ingredients, you have like ingredients, but the same thing applies of costing things out. Yes, sir.
So why is the date, my date says April the 15th.
Yeah, mine too, and it says April 22 and 29. It doesn't say the 28.
Oh, it's probably because I'm in the wrong class.
Oh, okay, I'm like, that's.
What class am I in? You guys are Thursday, right? So you're RSTO 1.
You're probably in mine.
Yeah, you updated the wrong assignment.
Okay, that'll be fine. That'll be.
I could get an extra point for that.
There you go, March 25th.
Okay, I'm like,
There we go. Thank you for catching that.
thank you, sir.
Yep. All right, that means I need to update your rub recipe then. I was wondering why it was already on. Like, that's weird.
Whew.
All right, so the project can be overwhelming.
Yeah, I
Okay.
got to.
The project can be overwhelming. But, like I said, after we finish chapter 10 in the textbook, we're gonna go to basically the rest of the semester. When I'm here, there might be some times when I'm out for conferences, but when I'm here, it'll be project work days. So we'll come into class, or you can log into Zoom. And the attendance is still required, so still check in at the beginning of class. And if you have no questions, or if you are done with the recipes for that are due for that week, then you can log off on Zoom and you can leave, right? So if you are here on campus, I would recommend that you just come into class and then check in, and when you're done, you can leave, okay? If you are not on campus and this is the only class, I would not recommend you coming on those project days unless you need some work on those recipes. Because otherwise you're gonna come in and that's all we're gonna do, okay? So I would recommend logging in on Zoom, okay? Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day. I'll post these in Canvas.
I have a question.
Yes.
So is the Q factor always on all the recipe going to be 5%?
On our recipes, yes, it will always be 5%. Now,